Are you joking? Airfix Dogfighter is a flight combat video game, but unlike so many other games of such a kind, the premise of the game itself is so easy you can sum it up with just a single pop culture reference.
You are a toy!
To be fair, there isn't much more to say about the premise itself, and most of it is implied by the game's intro. A big house during a nice sunny day, which clearly tells us this cannot be England, and a family leaving by car. Okay, maybe this is England after all. And with the inhabitants gone, the house springs to life with models reenacting a scaled-down get it? Version of one of the most violent and destructive conflicts in human history. Is it a gritty portrayal of a historical conflict? Hell no, it's a schlocky action romp that also somehow manages to be one of the cutest fucking things I played. I mean, look at it. Anyway, the game was released in the year 2000, developed by Unique Development Studios, a Swedish studio that seems to have mostly dealt with licensed games, making the name pretty damn ironic, and Paradox fucking Entertainment? You're telling me that Paradox made a fucking good game, and without scummy big destructive— what? Oh, never mind. Paradox only re-released the damned thing in 2012 as Gold Edition. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, seeing Paradox mentioned was quite a fucking whiplash. Normally, it would spur a whole dive into the rabbit hole to see if I can retrieve any juicy knowledge about its development, but alas, I am a depressed piece of shit. This game has a bit of a special place in my heart for mostly nostalgic reasons. I don't know how I've come across the game itself. My guess is one of my primary schoolmates had a pirated copy, which I very likely copied from. I still have my bootleg copy too, which pretty sure it still runs. Which leads us to the first topic on the list. Funnily enough, at least on my machine, the game runs basically out of the box. If you don't mind a 4:3 aspect ratio and ancient resolutions. And you can forgo tabbing out of the game. And you don't mind having to regularly mount the fucking ISO image, because I haven't found the proper damn crack for it. It probably exists, but I just couldn't be asked. And you don't have to record any footage of that damn thing. The others weren't an issue for me. Inconvenience? Sure. But the real deal breaker was not being able to properly capture the damned footage. I initially thought this would be a massive issue, but what's this? Huh. You know, ever since I started editing stuff on my channel, I've come to a reasonable conclusion that there is a conspiracy to prevent me from finding random shit I need, be it clips for video editing funnies, or forum threads to unsolve mysteries of Unity engine jank. Speaking of which... piece of shit! But yeah, the solution was quite easily found this time. All I had to do was install and use Nglide, which then allows me to force it into windowed mode and thus properly capture the damned thing. The alt tabbing is still kind of an issue, and also switching to the windowed mode in main menu often crashes the damn game. But it's at least now usable for me, so I can't exactly complain. Just one more thing before we get into the meat of the review, I fucked up, I think. The consensus seems to be that the newest version of the game is 1.20, meanwhile the version I've been running appears to be 1.15. Normally that wouldn't have been a problem, you know, unless I'd be roughly in 2/3 of the clip categorization process of more than 200 video clips recorded on this seemingly obsolete version. Yeah. Moving on! For a game released in exactly the year of our Lord 2K, the visual presentation is really solid. Sure, some textures are clearly dated, especially as I run the damn thing in 1600 by 900, as well as the polygonal density of many objects, but I'd say it's overall still prettier than Deus Ex. There, I said it.
Burn the heretic!
It's probably the color palette, come to think of it. It consists of many saturated colors, and the combinations of them never seem to be jarring or clashing. Oh look, they even attempted some primitive shadow casting of the planes on the walls. Seeing how the game is from 2000, that's actually quite impressive. One issue I did notice on the graphics side, however, can be summed up with this one clip from Ross Scott. Fischer Schwalbe here. The clip I had in mind was that of Ross Scott going, "Dancing pixels, Ross! Dancing pixels!" For the longest time, I was sure that happened in the Game Dungeons episode about Strife. Well, no. No, it didn't. As a matter of fact, I cannot find the damn thing anywhere. I think I'm actually going insane. There are certain places in the levels where these artifacts are guaranteed to be visible and noticeable. For example, the staircase has these nasty seams of white pixels. Now, the music. I'm fucking with you, there is no music. That is actually untrue. But it doesn't change the fact that the damned soundtrack just isn't audible and I couldn't find a way to fix it. Okay, so, like in the case of Quake games, the actual CDs of Airfix Dogfighter appear to be Red Book audio CDs. What this meant in practice was that you could literally pop the disc into a player and listen to the soundtracks like it's a regular album. The games were coded to rely on that hack, as far as I understand, and because of that you would need a game disc physically read to have your high-quality music played during gameplay. However, unlike for the Quake games, I haven't managed to find a fix for music for Airfix Dogfighter. As a matter of fact, I kinda accepted it as a fact that the game has no music for a while. I mean, the game literally has no volume sliders for audio in options, until I've spotted in the credits that, why, yes, there was someone responsible not just for the SFXs, but music as well. Wouldn't you know, the music is available on YouTube. But it's not in the game, so yeah, I can't say I give a fuck, cause this whole topic reeks of shoddy programming hacks. That said, it's fine, because everything else audio in this game is straight fucking fire. The sounds of engines, explosions, the guns.
The gun is good.
The sound effects are fucking class all in itself. Every little detail clicks and keeps up the illusion that you indeed pilot a plane to a point. It makes it uncanny how it's also a model plane, flying in a family house. But I'll touch on the positives later. Let me point out the bad first. In the final mission of Axis campaign, you get a chance of picking up and dropping a fucking A-bomb. 5 of them even. How do they fare?
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom!
Yeah, disappointingly, in more ways than one. That's literally it though, when it comes to bad. Everything else, it's just spot on. Especially the machine guns. But later about that. Gameplay-wise, Airfix Dogfighter is probably one of the simplest titles I have covered by this point. Which means, of course, that I have no fucking clue where to start. I suppose the basic workflow of a mission will suffice, and we'll go from there. You start each mission in the base of your forces, attempt to fulfill exactly 2 sets of objectives that almost always happen in sequence, return to base, and land safely. If I were a pedantic man, which I am, I would also gather pickups and bonuses in the relative safety of your base to get an advantage between the first and the second step. And to get these bonuses, you must first and foremost
Disrespect your surroundings!
The pickups range from receiving more ammo, hefty repairs, or a good chunk of change in fuel. These bonuses are clearly visible, arcadey as fuck, and with a simple but effective animation. And if you still somehow can't see them, cleaning cum out of your eyes should help. But wait, this is a game about model airplanes. So of course, there's also paints and glue you can gather. As a matter of fact, in both campaigns there is a mission revolving around raiding the enemy strongpoint and stealing as much glue as possible. And of course, last but definitely not least, tech bonuses. We will return to tech bonuses. By the way, the kids' room is referred to by the Axis forces in briefings as Incel Sector, which I know it means island in German. I know it's meant to refer to the fact it's supposed to be RAF's main base, you know, England, but I still laughed like a paint remover huffing moron. The controls of your plane are extremely simple. Directional buttons to change direction, D and C to increase and decrease the thrust, respectively, and space to fire the machine gun. The controls are simple, but that doesn't mean controlling the plane is always equally as simple. Why am I fighting a fucking Stuka again? I mean, controlling your machine can feel simple and smooth, if you pilot a plane with at least 3 in its control score. Okay, I am meaner than I need to be. It's just a few planes seem to have bigger problems with turning than others. Stuka, Black Widow. There are 14 planes in the game, 7 for each side of the conflict. Player unlocks them one by one over the course of the campaign, and for some fucking reason, the allied planes' stat progression makes their roster feel clunky and slow. And not even cause the Axis gets their hands on proto-jet fighters, the Messerschmitt's Me-262 and Me-163 late in the campaign, but like, in general. Not to mention, Me-262 sacrifices control for its speed, which, leads to problems. What I'm saying is, early campaign Axis planes feel much smoother to pilot over their allied counterparts. Both campaigns consist of 10 missions each, and here comes the reason I decided to review Airfix Dogfighter right after they are billions. The missions take roughly 15 minutes or less, not 5 fucking hours. Because the entire game takes place in one big house and as such keeps the room layout constant throughout, the developers allow access to rooms sparingly. In one mission you will terrorize the spies hidden in the kitchen, in another you will be breaking the window to let bombers shoot their fat, chunky loads on enemy airfield. You know, I don't know, using innuendos just feels wrong for this game. It's innocent in a sense, like kids not understanding the horrors of war, playing with their toys, knowing only the sanitized stories of heroism or whatever. It's kind of cute. Everything reinforces this notion that
You are a child's plaything!
one of my favorite elements of that are the weapons. Not the functionality, the pickups. Cannon, a bunch of crayons, rockets, fireworks, and the homing variant is distinctly colored with big homing crudely written on it. It just dawned on me that most weapons have words like bang or boom written on them. My word, that's cute. Tesla coil? A pair of totally not AA Duracell batteries, which by the way, while equipped, looks like a pair of
Balls of steel.
bombs? Firecrackers. And speaking of bombs, I really dislike using them. They're very difficult to hit with them and you can't really bloody aim properly. But Schwalbe, I hear children of the village chant, you can toggle the bombing run camera specifically for dropping your load. Correct. It also makes piloting your machine really fucking awkward. This only occurred to me while editing, but the third-person camera in this game is really solid. It works very smoothly and rarely feels out of place or goes nuts. I'm not sure how widespread this kind of knowledge is, but making an actually well-functioning third-person camera, accounting for level geometry, etc., is a colossal pain in the ass. Anyway, I felt a need to point it out. Good job, especially in the corners and tight spaces. Not to say the camera doesn't have its moments, and when it does... But thankfully that happens very rarely. And don't even start chanting about dive bombing, the controls aren't an issue for it, no, getting caught in the blast of your own bleeding bombs is. And there is, of course, your default weapon, the machine gun. Do not misunderstand me here, oh gentle viewer, default doesn't mean rubbish. Sure, at first it might seem that way, although the sound effect of firing it is nice. And then you grab your 10th tech bonus. Then you grab 10 more. and 10 more. And finally, you reach 41 tech bonuses, and you become Death, the melter of plastic. Holy shit, the sound of the machine guns on every single level of technology fucking slaps, it's amazing. Of course, there is a degree of auto-aim present in-game. Without it, shooting would be actually infuriating in the context and controls. It's generous, smooth, and works very nicely. Most of the time. There is one exception, you could say a glaring one, the fucking light switches.
I want the light turned on.
For some reason, the light switches hog all of the aim assist's attention. The radius of attracting the targeting reticle is ludicrous and makes some of the basic situations infuriating. Crown example, leaving the airfield room in Allied campaign. Every single fucking mission, I turn off the light when I intend to open the door, which is particularly annoying since Allied campaign seems somewhat heavy on time-sensitive shit in the early missions. I mean, fucking look at this. But yeah, when there are no switches around, the auto-aim works mostly fine against enemies, and in that context, it works smoothly and intuitively. Which is important, since combat in this game can get hectic sometimes. The game is very fun to play, and it's just cute. You know who else clearly had fun? The writers.
The Italian involvement in the war has already paid off. The schematics we've retrieved before has enabled us to develop a guided missile with the capacity to chase down its own targets. El Duce have asked us to help with a problem of his. A convoy of Allied forces is terrorizing his pasta cooking from a neighboring sector, and we would like to see it destroyed. We fear this to be the least we can do for our fellow Feingeschmeckers.
We've received a coded transmission from our spies that the Germans are about to cover up all traces of a science project in their main sector. Apparently, they've already shipped off the finished product and are now in the progress of burning all other evidence of their questionable work. This is our chance to excel our armory. You must open up their primary defense perimeter, race inside, and steal the weapon schematics before... I'm gonna go for a pint.
For God's sake, if you need any indicator just how much fun the writers had, late in the Axis campaign you are tasked with busting out a scientist called the Dr. Zweistein. Wow! Woo! Brilliant! Awesome! I wanna fucking die! Now that I mentioned that, you know what isn't all that fun? Escort missions. In both campaigns you have missions that require you to either defend something, Allied campaign is particularly notorious for this, attic raid, or escort something. But Dr. Zweistein mission is a small thing in comparison to a mission where you need to escort the tank columns from the upper floor up to the goddamn door to Axis HQ for a siege. And the Axis regularly send ground and air forces. And you need to get an exact number of tanks present downstairs to pass. Oh, what's that? The fragile as fuck Churchill tank got destroyed. Too bad.
In the most polite way I can muster. Fist yourself.
But you know what? This mission at least seems to work. It can be obnoxious if you aren't fast enough with destroying Axis sorties, and turns the mission very repetitive, but at least it has no scripting bugs, unlike one of the late missions of the Axis campaign, where you need to escort columns of vehicles to the garage. What do I mean? In multiple attempts, the game just didn't fucking send out those convoys from the base. Yeah. And speaking of which, you remember how I drew a skeleton of how the missions go and mentioned you need to return and land on the airstrip to finish the mission? In some missions the game just doesn't stop to periodically spawn enemies. You can fulfill your fucking objectives and then find out you failed the mission en route back to base. Bullshit! And the final missions... Oh... The final missions of both campaigns have the same idea. Go to the high concentration of enemy forces outside of the house and eliminate a giant fucking boss target. And both those missions have things that annoy me. The Axis campaign is finished by you taking out HMS Enterprise in the swimming pool. the damn thing drops model kit pickups on death, which of course sinks. If it sinks completely, forget it, you ain't picking that shit up. And to even attempt fishing it out while it drowns, you need the fastest plane in the damn game. And thankfully you can finish the mission without those plans, but it isn't obvious. The Allied campaign? You need to destroy the Axis have in the front yard. And that includes a fucking Zeppelin that is packing some serious heat. You'd think taking out a Zeppelin would be easy, right? Wrong. You need to take out 3 radar stations on the ground first for some reason to even begin dealing damage. And the whole fucking time you are hounded by Messerschmitt comets, who are faster than you, and infuriatingly, they are packing particle beams. I've never beaten this mission as a kid and struggled with it as an adult, because the combo of comets with beams is lethal. They do so much damage. And it's annoying because the area has some fun ideas, like you can shoot the lawnmower to start it and it goes on a rampage, or you can open the mailbox to free a wingman, something that a lot of other missions utilize. You know how I've finally beaten this mission? By picking the thickest fucking plane you can, which is Black Widow. For once, in this particular instance, the armor density wins over speed and maneuverability. Huh. I suppose I might have sounded very negative with some of my complaints and frustrations. Let me clarify, Airfix Dogfighter is a very cute, pleasant and fun game. The devs clearly put a lot of heart into it, and it ends up giving the entire thing throughout this sense of childlike joy underneath. It's cheerful, and it's bloody cute. Which is impressive, because you would kinda expect a game on the license to be either half-assed or have no soul at all. At least I would expect as such. Overall, it's mostly such a pleasant and fun title, full of small details that make the experience memorable. And yes, I know, I am repeating the words fun and cute a lot, but like, that's what Dogfighter is at the core of all things. Fun. I honestly wholeheartedly recommend it, and it's such a relief to go on a nostalgia trip with one of these reviews and not end up being crushed by disappointment. Crimson Land. Anyway, have a good one. I need to find a job. Fuck this year. It's 6 AM as I am recording this. Normally I would be bothered, but if neighbor's dog can yelp from 7 PM till 5 AM, I'm not gonna give a fuck anymore, especially since I will need to move soon anyway. But yeah, I spent the whole night to deliver this for Christmas Eve. Ho ho fucking ho. And jokes aside, I do hope you enjoyed this video. This year was atrocious. I am planning to make a summary video of everything 2023 for me. Shout out to the following people: My Old Man, Arcturetian, Krya, Nomad, Crow, and of course Jan and Kilisund, who delivered their roles as German and British officers respectively. This was way too short of a notice and I apologize. Special thanks to everyone supporting my Patreon: Glenn Uno, Guiderino, Łukasz Barański, Mewcio, Piotr, and Walrek. Graf Orlok VII cancelled his pledge, but he did so late enough to fund most of this review's production. Your continued support is more important than ever to me. I can only wish to be better at giving you back, and in a more timely fashion, but I'll explain this later. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, I guess. Thanks for watching. See ya.